Welcome to part 3 of side door van rust repair. We're going to have to open these doors. We'll have to open this one. This is the one we're working on. But in order to keep Sammy out and to try to keep the paint fumes from accumulating in the van, because even the next day or two my wife can notice the smell of the paint inside. So what I have to do here is to fix this so that the cat don't get in, and also to seal it up and then just hold this together, because when I'm working on it I'm going to be grinding in here, here, and over here. So I need to keep the door in this position so that the grinder does not hit in this area, and I can put some metal in there, shove a piece of metal in there and tape it just so the grinder hits it isn't going to hurt this, because this has got to be redone with probably a lightweight Bondo and so forth, and primed and so on. But today, if I can get this door done and the bottom edge underneath here, which is in fairly good shape, probably just needs a little sanding and primer. And I went to Harbor Freight yesterday and got self-etching primer and another can of the Ford white paint. It took several days for that weird smell to leave my nose, and it's from this stuff, not from the self-etching primer. That doesn't affect me as much as this there. So I gotta be careful when I spray. Alright, it looks like hell, but it'll keep the fumes from getting into the van, at least wise 95% of them. And it also keeps Sammy from getting in here, because he loves getting in the van and we don't see him, and sometimes you're going down the road, you know, and we have to turn around and bring him back home. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to do the underside of the rubber here, and I'm going to check it out off camera and see if I need to use a wire wheel on that or what. I don't think so. I checked, it was pretty good, but I got to get my soft pad to kneel on and stuff like that. It looks in good condition underneath there. It is a little rusty, but it isn't too bad. I don't have to remove the rubber. Leastwise, I hope not to be able to do that. The right way to do it is to remove the rubber, but it's in there pretty good. I do have contact cement, but I don't want to drag this thing out. I want to get this door done today. Next thing you know, it'll be winter time and I won't go do anything. So I want to try to get this as much body work as I can done while the weather is good. I got a little bit left in this self-etching primer we used before we break open a new can, and I want to hit the bottom of that. I'm not going to get too fussy with this because there's a little rust in there, but it isn't too bad. And if I use the, as I said so many times before, if I use the rust reformer, I got to wait 24 hours between coats, which means 48 hours. 24 if I put it on now, and then put the second coat on another 24. I can't do that. I cannot do that. And I don't have much faith in this stuff, but I do use it if time permits. If I'm not going to go back on it again due to weather or whatever, till a much later date, then yes, I'll use it. I got tape on there, I don't need to push that up. Try not to breathe this stuff in. I cannot use a respirator mask. I can't get my breath. Used to have to use them at work. I cannot. I even have a hard time breathing through one of them dust masks. I cannot get my breath through them things. That's why I don't use them. Okay, I got this, and I'm gonna do it again. Kind of on the heavy side. I put it on the heavy side. It runs out, but that's okay. And make sure it gets in there good. You know. We'll just lay down here. Just need to move this back. Be careful not to breathe the van. I did as I sprayed down here. It wasn't really rusty here, but I just hit it anyways, and all down through here. There must be silicone on this rubber gasket somehow. I didn't put it on, but tape don't stick. But anyways, I just got it up underneath there as much as I could. And it's a little runny, but not a big deal. And we'll put with the white on that later. This is probably about the best I can get this door, because when I get the grinder in here, there's plenty of room between this edge of this door and here, so you know I shouldn't hurt it. Gotta grind in here, and before I do that I gotta put something to protect this, similar to what I did on that one there. But what I got to do, and also got to do a spot up here too. I just noticed. But that looks like it's a relatively minor one. I get things like this coming through the van finish. Now, the camera's not in a very good position here, but hopefully you'll be able to see it. I'm using I'm not sure, I'm using we'll try a 36 on here first. I usually use the 60 wheel, but we're using the 36 right now. And we'll probably go to a 60. We'll just see what we need here. So let's get started. I don't know if you can see me or not. First of all, didn't tape it. The duct tape on there. The duct tape don't do much because you hit the wheel on it and it pretty well hits the chrome. Alright, this is going to be hard for me to get the wheel into here. And I probably have to turn the guard around, but I'm not going to be able to get in here anyways with the wheel. Now, I'm going to be able to... This ain't all that bad. Down here is worse. I think we'll hit this first. Much I can do to, well, it's nicking that aluminum. Not much I can do about it. I think I'm going to go to a 60 wheel. I got 136 wheel and two 60 grit wheels. I think the 36 is a little bit too much for this. They're never going to get the rust out anyways. Okay, I'll take here and show you. Alright. You can see some bare metal, but there's rust here. So when we got rust, as I said before, we just hit it with the rusty metal primer. Not the rusty metal primer, I don't have any of that. That's another thing I used to use too, is rusty metal primer. But I self-etching primer, I meant to say. We got to do that. And I got to do this. This is really rough here, all the way through in here. So I gotta do that, but I wanna, that feels pretty good. We gotta kneel down and see if I can get closer to this. We'll do that off camera here. This is gonna be a job here. This don't feel all that bad, it's just right in here, and this is where I have my trouble. I think what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna get a piece of aluminum that I've got. I've got little 3x4 or 3x5 pieces of aluminum, and I'm going to take and stick it down in there, bend it over and tape it so that when the grinder hits it, you know, it'll not gouge this up. Ideally I'd like to be able to remove it, but as I said, can't be done. So we'll come back on the video in a minute here when I get ready to do this piece. I'm just going to get up closer here with the grinder. I'll do that off camera. Okay, I'm not sure if my big fat head is going to block it or not. Two things. I turned the guard around, but where I need to turn the guard so I can work like this, I can't get the screw to tighten up, so I have to leave it loose. Second of all, I got some of this aluminum. I bent it. We're going to put it like this. We're going to tape it on here, just like that. We got to bend it a little bit more here so it'll take the curvature, and it'll stay there, and I'll just tape it to the bottom here so that when the grinder hits it, it isn't going to chew it up. So that's all. We'll just put a little masking tape on here to hold it in place so that when I grind it, I'm going to take a little bit of tape here to do this job. As I start hitting it with the grinder, it'll probably push down, but I'm hoping that should be okay. That's a lot better than the duct tape. Okay. Now, we'll plug back in. Now we're going to try to grind it, but I'm only going to be able to get to about here. I won't have to sand this one. I'm using a 36 on this, and all it did is polish the rust. So we're going to, like we had before on the other side. We're going to spray it with the self-etching primer, and it won't need any Bondo. We'll just paint over it. But we'll find out as we go along, because it could very well be that I might have to put a little Bondo on it, especially down in this area here. I haven't ground that yet. Well, all it does is shine up the rust. So we're just going to rust the self-etching primer on that. We're going to hit this, but I'm going to bring the 36. I mean not the 36. I'm going to change this to the 60. Hit this again, and I got to do this. Before I do that, I'm going to hit the 36 on here. Let's see what we got. Let me just get you over here and see if I can do that. This is the roughest area right in through here. So if we get this, and then I'll change the disc one time and do all this. I gotta hit this too. So I might as well hit these first. Okay, it's impossible to get the rust out. As you can see, it just polishes the rust. So now that one's down pretty good, but it's not perfect, but it's smooth. And you know what? We don't need Bondo on that, but I'm not sure about this. I don't think this is too bad either. But we're going to change the wheels. This one's good. There's no problem there. This rusty stuff that you see running down here was from this rusted area that I did earlier in here. But before I take this aluminum off, we're going to hit this with the 60 grit flap disc. Alright, if my big fat head don't get too much in the way, we might be able to do something. We got the 60 grit flap disc on. We just plug her in. And we'll start with this one. That one is very, very rough. I'm going to put the 36 wheel back on. I forgot to do that before I changed to the 60 wheel. This don't need Bondo, this don't need Bondo, this don't need Bondo. I'll hit this a little bit more before I take this off. I'm not sure about that needing Bondo underneath there, but this definitely needs Bondo here. And regardless, they're all going to get, because of the rust that's in here, rust is like polished up. You can't do nothing about that. You know, you can't do anything about that. Short of cutting it out, and I'm not going to do that. That'd be a 2-week job if I did that on this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hit a little bit more in here. I'll do that off camera and come back on this when I get the other wheel on here to do this. Okay, off camera I hit this. Originally, of course, you saw me do it with the 36 wheel. Now I use this 60 grit wheel. It's still polished. It's smooth, but it's polished rust, basically. So, like I said before, if it was all bare metal, we would Bondo it right to it because that's what the guys recommend. But because we got rust that's basically polished, we're going to use the self-etching primer on it. Same with here, because it's in the middle here, it's over here. This is very rough. This is going to need some Bondo, I think, a very little bit. So, but before we do that, I've got the 36 grit wheel here. And we're going to hit that and try to get that down as much as I can. And we'll see what she looks like before we decide whether to Bondo that. And I'm almost certain we're going to have to Bondo that because that's pretty pitted right there.